Hi, Dan Johnson here at the Midwest LSA Expo 2011, and we are talking with Bill Canino, the main man behind Sportair USA, and we decided we have to talk about all of what you do because you're tackling a lot of different things. We've got the Sirrius airplane here. We've got the Sting here, the one that Bill started with and everybody knows about. We've got not one, but two of those Lynn Savage airplanes, and one of them is called the iCub, but there's even more than that. So Bill, welcome to the Midwest LSA Expo 2011. Let's start with the Sirrius. This is about the middle of your fleet in the terms of the ones you've assembled together now. You started with the Sting how long ago?
7 years ago, Dan. We went, my wife and I went to Europe, spent a long time over there. She ended up in jail in the Ukraine for about 8 hours. It was very interesting. I'll tell that story on another one.
I guess that's a story for another video.
We did look at a lot of aircraft manufacturers, and we wanted one that was not too big, not too small, pretty much totally controlled by the
company-wise, not airplane.
Yes. No, and met what we considered to be the then developing standards for ASTM, and came up with a TL Ultralight company out of the Czech Republic at Hradec Králové, and the Sting I kept coming back to, and it handles very good. We've continued to make improvements. The new one is called the S4. It's version 4 of the ones that we introduced 6-7 years ago now.
Yeah, I remember you had it at the very first Sebring, and we didn't call it S anything then because it was just
the Sting Sport.
Sting Sport. And so now we went through 2 and 3, I remember, and now we're up to 4 with it. It still looks pretty much the same, but it's had quite a bit of refinement. But then you got the high wing airplane from the same company, which is an unusual kind of thing. Tectum has a high wing and a low wing, but not very many companies go both ways like that.
TL saw the market for a high wing early on, and it took about 3 years to develop a high wing version of the Sirrius. Strangely enough, our aircraft are called the Sirrius, the Sting, the Savage, the SeaRey, and the Snap. I've never thought of that, but it's all S's.
Kind of into S, and your company is Sportair, so I guess you're stuck with S.
Yeah, that jumped into my pea brain, but TL does like to name their aircraft with an S, and there may be some special thing. But the high wing carbon is an answer to easy entry. The low wing is maneuverability and visibility. What we didn't have was something that was low and slow, and so after talking to the Lynn Savage company, we took on...
Which is another Czech brand, right?
Yes, it's designed in Italy and produced in Czech Republic. All of these are about 100 kilometers from each other. There are many Czech manufacturers, surprisingly. When the Soviet Union shut down, the people had skills. For decades they had built airplanes, so they started building what in European terms is ultralight, and we know is light sport. So it's been a very aggressive program of bringing companies up to standards for ASTM and quality control and feedback, but I enjoy going over there. We've made 38 trips in the last 6 years.
I was just going to ask you how many times you've been. 38 trips in 6 years. That's about 6 trips a year, if my math is good.
Well,
that's a lot of traveling over to the Czech Republic.
Well, it's not only there. Now we go to Italy, and we're branching out even further. We've introduced a new airplane every year for the last 4 years, so look for something next year.
That's why we had to come here and look at the whole fleet of airplanes. And we'll kind of walk around the circle here a little bit, but looking at the Sirrius and looking back here at the Sting, these are both carbon fiber, or mostly carbon fiber.
85% carbon
85%
fiber. There are
carbon
places in an aircraft that you don't want carbon fiber. The spar shouldn't be solid carbon. It's too stiff.
Yeah,
and it gives you the hard.
So there they're using
carbon fiber spar caps and a fiberglass web, and it gives a very good, comfortable ride.
And of course, your the Lynn airplanes, which are steel interiors with fabric covering, people think they look like a Cub, so you've coined a term called Cub fly-like, and I like that because they're not Cubs. They fly quite a bit different, and they use Rotax engines, which none of the Cub guys do. But that's not all Sportair does. I took a visit down to Sportair with my wife a couple of months ago, and let's see, you got an avionics shop. We'll see how far I can do, and you can fill in the blanks.
Great.
You got an avionics shop. Yes, of course. You've got some interesting equipment like the Foresight that gives visibility in no visibility conditions. You came up with a cool feature called the straight and level button a while back. Fill in the blanks. What else are you doing?
We're an FAA repair station. We've just had our first FAA inspection, and they found a couple of things, but we laid them out there for them to find. They're very cooperative, but they're very precise. We run our company under the repair station, so even though the light sport, it does not require that, they follow the same quality control program as the citation that we had in 2 weeks ago. So we're very focused on making sure that every airplane is treated the same, because when you're flying, you want it to be the same. You don't want a different class of safety or a different class of inspection. They all ought to be following the same rules.
Well, and one of the things you've done very recently, right in line with that, is a new offering that you just made to people, and I want you to explain it a little more fully, but it is to offer transition training to people who need to learn a little bit more about flying a light sport aircraft, but you didn't put the usual parameters around it. Now, if you go buy a new airplane from Bill, he's going to give you that training. If you do that with a lot of people, they're going to give you training, but you took it another step further.
We finally realized that the secondary market, the resale of the used aircraft, was not really seeing a training level. There was no consistency. An owner wanted to sell his plane. He would train a CFI who would then train the new owner. And we realized that we were missing a step there. So we went back and contacted we know all of the owners within a month or so of when they buy. And we went back to them, contacted them and said, please come to our place for free training. We'll offer you 5 hours of ground school with an A&P and with avionics shop and with me to make sure you know all about the airplane. We'll take the panels off. We'll do a free safety inspection, not an annual, but a safety inspection if we see anything. And we will offer free training. We'll put a CFI in the plane and you'll get 5 hours of time with him so that you'll have a factory coordinated training effort that will also be good for your insurance company. So it's a win-win.
And the insurance companies have got to be, if they're hearing this or watching this, they're going, oh yes, this is excellent. We know they're big on this transition training. You know, if you're a 7,000-hour Bonanza pilot with a lot of other experience, yes, you're a good pilot. Nobody ever questioned that. But when you hop in on one of these light sports, it's a little different, and you need some transition training. And I've always said, all the training you can afford is worth it. And you're offering this at no cost. Now, so somebody who goes out and says, well, they got one of the S2 or whatever the earlier models of Zing Sport was, they bought this thing, they go, okay, it's pretty good, I think I know how to fly it, but they can come to you and get this extra training at no cost to them.
No cost.
That's a pretty fantastic thing.
We feel like it's worth it to us to have the fleet safety. Our motto is fly fun, fly safe. You can't do one without the other.
That's right.
If you're flying safe, you can have fun. If you're having fun, you may not be safe. So we want to show them the edges of the envelope, everything that we can. We'll spend an innumerable amount of time at very, very slow stall speed, making full control deflection, showing them how the airplane reacts. So we don't want anybody surprised. You know, and I'm not a happy guy for surprises. I want to know what's going to happen. I want to know how I train that lower part of my brainstem to react instead of think about and have to react to something.
You need a mechanical action, because that's what you're going to rely on in those cases. Well, I want to kind of close here with a little bit about your facility, which I thought was very interesting. Bill's background is as that of an architect. And so his offices look like no other offices I've seen in the aviation world. Very interesting, unique, I think. But you had a little problem there at that airport a while back, and things sort of changed for you that caused what I saw finally. But what happened down there?
We own an office building in West Little Rock in the office development area, and we decided to move to the airport because we were making 30-minute trips back and forth for parts delivery. So we designed a facility that was between two of our hangars. We have about 43 hangars there at North Little. And in the process, we finished the design. I had ordered blinds and windows, and about that time, a tornado came through, destroyed the two hangars that we were preparing to build, blew them all over, and destroyed two brand new airplanes at 6 and 8 hours. Ouch. And so we were in the midst of moving, and so we moved into one of our empty hangars and decorated it. So we have 12-foot by 12-foot blinds hanging in the hangar. May not even be a wall there. We have more windows with no blinds and more blinds with no windows than anybody in the country.
It's a great place
we
to
just
see
use it as dividers.
But he pointed at a couple of empty concrete pads and said, yeah, that's where our place used to be. And it just
Parking
makes you
lot
realize not only do these guys have to bring in airplanes and worry about airplanes and worry about the pilots flying them and keep all the equipment going and keep the maintenance going. There's a lot to do. It's a lot of balls up in the air all at once. But on top of that, you get knocked over by a tornado. It's like, gee whiz, this is not the easiest business in the world.
And we
sometimes.
left 3 days later to Sun and Fun.
And then you went to Sun and Fun. We recall you got down there and kind of went, gee, Bill, you don't have many airplanes here. What's up with that? Well, then he told this story. So I thought that was interesting. Bill Canino, Sportair USA in North Little Rock, Arkansas. It's a nice place to go visit. It's kind of central. They can do a lot of good maintenance work for you, and you do a lot of stuff. And
Be happy to have you come over and train.
So
fly safe and fly fun.
So give me some web addresses now where people can contact you and find out more about this sprawling facility that I enjoyed visiting.
It's all our web address is sportair.aero, sportair.aero. That's our main address, and it has everything. But each one of our aircraft have their own website. We'll be happy to have you come by and visit and come by and look at it.
Excellent,
And
Bill.
Dan, have you had an opportunity to fly, even one of these?
I think I've flown them all actually, but I didn't fly one of the Stings along the way.
He hasn't flown the Snap.
I did not fly the Snap.
It's a single seat.
It's a single seater. He's not going to turn that loose to me.
Yeah.
Not soon anyway, but maybe eventually. But yes, all that information is available on buydanjohnson.com or bydanjohnson.com. We're here at the Midwest LSA Expo 2011, reporting for aircraftreporters.tv.